Arven, the final crown. Let's read about Arven.
And yeah.
Arven is a sleek and fast being who created thousands of beings from the first moment he was given the crown. Besides his crown, there is an aerodynamic fin off the back of his head because he is so fast. His style of creating is fast. Get in, create, get out. He does not keep account of the worlds he creates, nor the beings he creates to inhabit them. Quater made Arven quiet, serious, lean, and efficient. Arven has spoken only once to some of the beings he has created. Quater wanted to make a being who would fill up the rest of creation with more worlds and planets and beings. Arven does not even take the time to create beings who will be creators themselves. Arven now has 7 worlds that his beings inhabit. Nordo is a world consisting of a group of 7 planets, each with a civilization of its own. The inhabitants of each planet have a distinct mythology with the common element of the 7 planets fighting amongst each other. But they never do in reality. This makes the various races of the 7 planets fear each other intensely, though there is no real need to do so. The 7 planets are Idznak, inhabited by the Skull Monkeys.
Yeah! From the next game that I actually tried to play, but...
Skull Monkeys is a very difficult game, yeah.
It's like Temple Run, sort of.
So this is the origin of the Skull Monkeys that we're reading about here. Idznak. Skull Monkeys look like monkeys with skulls for heads.
Yep, that's what they are.
Skull Monkeys spend the whole day chasing each other in a nervous, hyperactive way. While Skull Monkeys would love to scare the young of other civilizations, they cannot, for other worlds are not accessible to them. For this reason, transportation research is a primary concern of the smarter Skull Monkeys. Alpha Jaw, the leader of the kingdom of the Skull Monkeys, hoped to have a spaceship of some kind built to fly to planets full of youth to scare. One day, while Alpha Jaw busied himself with the detailed plans of a great ramp to launch a great rocket, his assistant, Hairy Joe, climbed down the great fort and decided to rest at the watering hole. Hairy Joe drank deeply from the pure waters and looked at himself in the still reflection. He poked his finger in his avicular foramen and wondered what it would be like to have flesh on his head. "I am very ugly," thought Hairy Joe. This was an odd thought, since most Skull Monkeys have no concern for appearances. "For this reason, I will cast myself into the water and live no more," he said, then jumped. His body made a loud splash, and he felt the cold water touch every part of his body. His hair grew deeply saturated with water until all of the air bubbles wriggled their way up to the surface. Hairy Joe exhaled and sank even deeper, far deeper perhaps than any other Skull Monkey had ever gone before. Weightless, he refused to move or struggle. Dark waters surrounded him, and he thought about his youth. Hairy Joe remembered a particularly unpleasant day many years before, when he was just a lad Skull Monkey receiving his lesson from an elder named Lowjaw. "Many are the hairs on our backs," said Lowjaw, "and likewise are the number of Skull Monkeys in this world." Hairy Joe looked up to Lowjaw as a father figure. For weeks, Hairy Joe followed every move Lowjaw made. If Lowjaw went into the forest to forage for nuts and grubs, so went Hairy Joe. If Lowjaw tended to his garden, so did Hairy Joe. One especially warm and beautiful day, Hairy Joe was on his way to Lowjaw's cave when he saw a great crowd gathered around the entrance. Many Skull Monkeys were howling to show their mournful state. Lowjaw's wife was the gloomiest of all. She was like a brittle fall leaf blown into a corner. Hairy Joe pushed his way to the front of the crowd, demanding to see his mentor. Lowjaw gently swung by his neck, hung from a braided piece of cloth his 2 children had made. His children were the first to find him in his state. The peculiar thing that Hairy Joe recalled was that he had shaved himself completely naked. Ugh. Okay, here's the next one. Arnod. Inhabited by the Urs. Urs observe other planets and civilizations, hoping one day to apply all that they have learned to their own civilization. This is not likely, however, since they find comfort in research and are terrified of application. Urs are extremely advanced in the arts of the mind. Which they use to read other beings' minds. Every other generation in the Ur's lifetime produces an Omega Ur. Omega Urs have such superior mind control that they can use their minds to form physical doorways between worlds. This has been outlawed by Arven, and only because Quater brought this to his attention. But the Omega Urs were not stopped until after they had moved a few Ints, skull monkeys, and even Urs to other planets. Ba'ak, inhabited by the half skull monkeys, who are half blue Int. Called blue Int skull monkeys, these beings look just like white Ints, since the mating of the skull monkeys with a blue Int causes a loss of pigmentation in the offspring, resulting in a blue Int that appears to be white. There is no other visual effect on the offspring from the skull monkeys, though their behavior is more like that of a skull monkey than a community-building blue Ints. Then the community-building... Oh, okay. The community-building blue Ints. Girly, inhabited by the proto-skull monkeys, these pitiful beings have to bury themselves up to their necks every night in the rich, girly soil to keep from dying of dehydration. They can only eat hoe bread, which can only be made by grinding up the largest wicks and adding them to hoe batter before it rises. Arven corrected all these limitations in the final design of skull monkeys. Girly has a monthly orbit that floats so close to wicks that the proto-skull monkeys can harvest the plumpest wicks for their hoe bread. Due to the proto-skull monkeys' tie to the soil of Girly every evening, colonizing wicks with proto-skull monkeys is not possible. Wicks, inhabited by wicks. Wicks are fat, furry, and yellowish in color. Wicks reproduce asexually and often, which would create an overcrowding problem if they were not harvested each month by the proto-skull monkeys. And Habsburg, inhabited by one Ur and one skull monkey, who became best friends. The Ur's name is Riostan, and the skull monkey's name is Mazzy Most. Their first year on... Hello, girls. Their first year on Habsburg was one of confused emotions. Because of the myth of the 7 planets fighting amongst each other, Mazzy Most and Riostan feared each other, but they were lonely and longed for companionship also. Riostan, behaving in perfect fashion, wanted to study Mazzy Most and all of his habits. He spent a lot of time following the skull monkey's tracks to see where he went, examining his feces to see what he ate. Yeah, he liked to look at his poop. Climbing
Why did he look at his feces?
Because he's a skull monkey, and skull monkeys aren't that smart. And climbing up trees to see where he lived.
Obviously, they don't have brains because their head is entire skull.
Yeah. They found that helping each other was their only chance at happiness and survival. While they were extremely productive during the first 100 years of friendship, they now just sit in front of their houses swapping grossly exaggerated stories of their first year together. Yanko, inhabited by the followers of May Key. May Key was said to live on Habsburg, though in reality he did not exist at all by any known records. Yankites, beings of Yanko, find pleasure in making intricate artworks for May-Key.
This whole thing in about like 3 weeks or so.
It's actually almost done. Perhaps the greatest works of art known to Quater are made in Yanko. It is for this reason that no one has the heart to tell the Yankites that May-Kia does not exist. The other 6 worlds that Arven made are Plasmo. This is an enormous cloud of beings, each too small to be seen by the naked eye. Urs have projected their minds there. Alphatic is the world of the Regos. Each successive generation is born bigger than the previous. As the Regos of each generation get into their senior years, you hear them making statements like, "These punks think they're so big," or, "When I was your age, we had to stand on a chair to get to the fondue pot down from the top kitchen cabinet." The houses of their ancestors are not usable for the newer generations. They just can't fit through the front doors. Then there's the Alpa Finalpa, is a world where the adults are ruled by their children.
Oh, that'd be
I love
great
that
world.
The children send the parents on time-consuming, frivolous tasks that keep the parents from doing anything but what the children desire. One might think that a society like this would collapse in anarchy, but to satisfy each whim of their children, the Alpa parents, or parents, constantly develop new technologies. For instance, when a child looking up at the evening sky
I'm
says,
back and I got some cookies. Who
Okay.
wants some? Okay,
Oh, there's Samoas.
I'm gonna throw you one through the YouTubing system. Woo! Okay, did you get it? Okay.
I don't know if they did, but if you order a Girl Scout cookie Samoas, they will. For instance, when a child looking up at the evening sky said, I want to see what the wonder is up there."
What are we, people who advertise things like Girl Scouts?
And threw a fit, his Alparens worked night.
And day. Or just, oh my god, how much longer is there?
Night
Oh,
and
and day.
You don't know how many screens we've already read through. And day, till they invented a telescope. When other children saw it, they all wanted one, so a telescope factory was built. In similar ways, advances are made throughout Alpa Fimalpa. Alpa Fimalpa families have from 1 to 3 children, rarely more. One child, being childish, may say, "Yes," when she is asked if she wants a baby brother or sister. She does not have the ability to realize that she will have to share command of the Alparens with her sibling, since the Alparens must be obedient to all their children. That child will not be fooled again if she is asked a second time after the birth of her sibling.
Oh,
But
this is
the
the world that
sibling-
children, they
But the
rule their
sibling
parents.
may want a brother or sister.
Later, when the new baby is old enough to answer, the Alparens may be able to ask him while the older sister is not around, and if she has not already warned the boy of the danger of a third sibling, if he wants a baby brother. If a third child is born into the family, the older two will rarely ever let the Alparens out of their sight. This prevents the Alparens from getting the chance to ask the youngest if he or she wants a baby sister or brother. As a favor to Homan, Arven made the world Flinby for the White Ints. Most of the White Ints were taken by Arven, so the Blue Ints could live in peace once again. The White Ints depended on the hard-working, resourceful Blue Ints for survival, since the White Ints are shiftless, no-good bums. To survive being in a world with no Blue Ints, the smarter White Ints, called Rogueling, conned the not-so-smart White Ints, called Habling, into converting into Blue Ints. Here are some tales of the Rogueling conning the Habling into being Blue Ints.
Is this stuff important?
It's all extremely important. One night, Popto...
Cookie?
Yeah, I'll have some more. One night,
You
Popto...
can have another.
Nah, it's okay. I'm reading. I can't eat while I'm reading. That's
Do you
kind of
want
weird.
a cookie?
One night, Popto, tired of wandering into the woods of Flimby, saw the light from a window of a tree cutter's cottage. Popto did not have his own cottage because he was too lazy to build one. He thought to go to the cottage to see
How much more screens are there?
if the inns inside would let him stay. So he went to the door and knocked. The tree cutter's wife opened the door and said, "Shoo! I don't let anyone in while my husband is not in the house. Go away already." And she slammed the door in his face. Popto was hungry too, and he had smelled the dinner cooking in his...
Just so you know, I have a huge lollipop, and I'm not going to eat it until the bill is out. So, yeah.
Popto was hungry too, and he had smelled the dinner cooking in the cottage while the door was open.
This is making me hungry.
He looked around for something to eat and saw a discarded Gefluto burger box on the roof of the cottage.
Just the name burger makes me extremely hungry. I need a burger!
He hoped there might be a Gefluto burger still in the box, but if not, even licking the Gefluto burger sauce from the bottom of the box would be delicious. After quietly making his way onto the roof, Popto found a hole in it through which he could spy on the wife of the tree cutter. Obviously, the tree cutter was too lazy to fix the hole. When he peeked through the hole, Popto saw a beautiful table set out with a savory junk roast, cluty fish, and wine. The tree cutter's wife and the county tree censor were seated at the table ready to dine. Now Popto...
Dine or die?
Dine. Now Popto heard the tree cutter lumbering home just then, and so did Mrs. Tree Cutter. The tree cutter was as nice a guy as you would want to meet, but his one quirk was that the mere sight of a county tree censor put him into a fit of rage. And that was why the censor was paying a neighborly visit to the wife, because he knew that the tree cutter was out, and the good woman would therefore fix up the best victuals she had. As Popto watched through the hole, she threw everything on the table into cupboards and drawers and hid the censor in a trunk she used as a coffee table. "What are you doing on my roof?" the tree cutter asked. Oh, that's the tree. "What are you doing on my roof?" the tree cutter asked Popto. "You better come in and eat dinner with me and stay in the spare room." Popto brought the Gefluto burger box in with him, but kept it out of sight. The wife acted very
Surprise.
glad to see them both, and set the table and gave them each a big bowl of torii wheat, a grey tasteless paste. Popto's mouth watered, thinking about the junk roast, cluty fish, and other delicacies he had seen. He brought his Gefluto burger box up to his ear and opened and closed it a few times. "What have you got there?" asked the tree cutter. "Oh, that's my Gefluto spirit guide," answered Popto. He said. So he's talking to his Gefluto burger box. "He says don't eat the torii wheat. Eat the junk roast, cluty fish, and other things. He had a Gefluto spirit hide in the cupboards just now." "Super!" explained the tree cutter, who jumped up.
Is it done? Oh my god. A lot
And
more.
found all the wonderful food which his wife had hidden
At
there,
the end, it's gonna say, now wasted you.
but which he thought the Gefluto
Oh, what
spirit
are you saying?
had brought forth. The wife of the tree cutter dare not say a word,
No.
but put all the food on the table.
Yeah.
Now Popto put his box
Okay,
up
because
to
my
his
mom
ear
doesn't want me
again
to get sick, since I have asthma.
and opened and closed it. "What's he say now?" asked the tree cutter. "He says, don't forget the wine behind you in that drawer." So Popto and the tree cutter enjoyed the wine also. The tree cutter wanted to see the Gefluto spirit this guide used to provide these wonderful
I
things.
said no.
Okay, well, I'll do it by myself.
Okay, go ahead.
"Can the guide conjure the Gefluto spirit here for us to see?"
It's almost
asked the tree cutter. "I wouldn't be
That was
troubled
fun.
about looking at him.
Falling downward.
Now that we finished off that wine, I'm kind of loopy." "But of course," said Popto, "this guide does whatever I tell it to do, don't you?" Here he nodded at the Gefluto burger box in his hand. "He says yes, but the Gefluto spirit is very ugly. We might puke if we were to look upon it so soon after eating. So who's afraid of a little barf? What will he look like? Well, you see, he'll look..." This sounds like one of the plays you guys write. just like a county tree sensor.
Why?
Because it's going on and has no point.
Gah, that is ugly. I must tell you, I go into fits of rage when I see a county tree sensor, but I'll be okay knowing that it's really a Gefluto spirit. So Popto opened the box and whispered into it. Then he put it up to his ear. I love how he talks to a burger box. Very well, said Popto. He's in the trunk you use as a coffee table. We may look at it now, but don't let it out of the trunk. Help me hold the lid, said the lumberjack. And they all went over to the trunk, where the wife had hidden the county tree sensor. They opened the lid and peeked in. Then the tree cutter slammed the lid closed. Wow, he is ugly. Yuck! After that, they agreed they needed another drink. They opened another drawer and found another
No,
bottle
but it
of wine.
really did come from the censor because he came to the tree cutter's wife, and so she set up the dinner, but then the tree cutter came and she put it away.
I think you solved the mystery.
Are we
I
done?
think you solved it, Gwen. Much later...
What was the mystery yet?
I
This had a mystery?
What was the mystery?
don't know.
He really was the Gefluto spirit.
Gwen is actually paying attention. I kind of lost track. Much later, the tree cutter said, you must sell me the Gefluto spirit guide in the box. Ask as much as you want. I'll pay anything. No, I could never do that, said Popto. Just imagine what I could use him for. Oh, I do so want that.
Is it the...
Gefluto spirit guide. So much. Oh, please, 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 please.
Okay,
oh, please,
you don't have to
please,
say
oh,
all of
please,
that.
Please, please,
The
please.
rest
oh,
is gonna be
please, oh, please, oh, please, 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 please.
No!
Oh, please, please, oh, please, please, oh, please, please, cried the tree cutter, and he kept on begging. Well, said Popto, at last. If you promise that you and your wife will pretend to be blue ints for the next 3 years for me, then I will give you this Gefluto burger box. It's a deal, said the tree cutter. But you must take that trunk with that Gefluto spirit that looks like a county tree sensor.
Is this the last screen?
Away with you! It gives me the creeps. When Popto... Did I skip something?
I don't think
No.
so.
I feel like I missed something. Yeah, I get... That looks like... Oh. That looks like a county tree sensor. Away with you. It gives me the creeps. Okay. When Popto left in the morning, he took the trunk. On his way, on the other side of the woods, was a very deep river. The water rushed by under the bridge he was crossing, and the river thundered in the quiet of the forest.
I think the guy was smart. Popto.
He tricked him into becoming a blue int somehow. Phew, said Popto. I'm tired. This trunk feels like it's full of my brother's weights. I think I may as well throw it in the river, and if it floats home to me, great. If not, no big deal. Then he lifted one end of the trunk just a little. No! Cried the censor from within the trunk. Let me out first! Ah! Screamed Popto, pretending to be frightened. The Gefluto spirit is still in there. I'd better throw him in fast, so he'll drown. No, no, no! Explained the censor. I'll be a blue int for you for 3 years if you let me out. I could do that, said Popto. And for the next 3 years he did not lift a finger. Not much is known about Albedo, except that it is a twin of Flimby, and that it lies on the far side of a huge gulf of yellow.
Is it done?
Of yellow plasma. Space currents momentarily blow the yellow plasma away, revealing
Plasma
Albedo
is not a solid or liquid or a gas.
to the patient observer. Sump is a world consisting of a group of hollow planets that exist within each other, including Outer Jun, inhabited by Wicks, About a
You
million
know what's
times.
10 times funner than the horse thing that we did in one of those Let's Play videos? Slide on your knees off it. So much fun.
Do you really have to read all of this?
Well, you want to.
You must.
You must.
Outer Jun,
It's
inhabited by wicks.
really important.
About a million times as many as Wix itself. Because there are no proto-skull monkeys to harvest.
I'm good. That was fun.
To harvest them every month. About 1/2 of the population is crushed to death by their collective weight.
Gosh!
Meso-Abernin.
This is the longest one, though, right?
I don't know.
I
It's
don't
the last one. That's all I need to know. Inhabited by Abers.
Whee!
Abers suspect that there is a world above
We're
their...
on the last 7, guys. After this video, peace, and then we're doing some quests.
Abers suspect that there is a world above their outer Jun floor sky because of the occasional
I'm getting my lollipop.
Wix carcass oozing through a crack or hole, but this is an unproved theory to them. Some Abers have drilled their way through the Meso-Abernin to found inner Abernin. These travelers, however, never return to the surface to tell what they found. This has prevented most Abers from attempting the journey, but a few hundred have. Abers fall into 3 castes. The first is the intellectual, inquisitive caste called the Frankites. The second is the warring Abers called the Dazites. The third is the religious caste called the Ease.
I would be a Frankite.
What's a friend? Oh,
They're the inquisitive intellectuals.
what does that mean?
They're smart.
Okay, well, if I didn't know that word, it'd probably not be.
I would hope to be the Frankite.
What are the nice ones and the friendly, happy ones?
They're all friendly and happy.
Yeah, but which one is me?
Well, the E's are religious. The Dazites are the
They're the warrings.
What's
What is
that?
war?
They fight.
Oh, I
I'd
could
be
do
a
that.
I'd be a Frankite.
I could be a warrior and whatever a Dazite or
A Dazite. Yeah, I would be a Frankite. Hopefully.
Well, here's a little more about them. The Frankites spend their time in pursuit of knowledge about the other worlds of the Sump, Outer Jun, and Inner Abernin. The Frankites are not respected by either the
What?
Dazites or the Ease.
Oh!
The Ease accuse the Frankites of messing with their religious mythologies. The Dazites think the Frankites are a bunch of sissies. The Frankites developed the theory of a world above the outer Jun floor sky because of the occasional Wix carcass oozing down through the crack or hole. The Abers have no way of reaching the floor sky, but a drop or two of the disgusting rotting flesh of the Wixes from outer Jun sometimes trickles down. The Frankites have developed a science out of the study of stuff that falls from the sky. They have formed theories of what the world above must be like. Theories of a world within theirs are called Crankule's Inner Abernin Conjecture, after the Frankite named Crankules, who is said to be the first Aber to say, "I wonder if there's a world within our worlds." The Frankites have led expeditions into caves, crevices, and holes in the ground. Most expeditions run into dead ends. The ones that do not have never come back to report what they found.
Oh, God.
The E's say this just confirms what they have known all along, that Inner Abernin houses a door to the other side, although few Frankites say there are no doors. Most agree that there may be something like a door somewhere in the universe. The Dazites consider the Frankites' research into the doors their only useful function in society. The E's spend their time in pursuit of the knowledge of mythologies. Some E's follow Father, some E's follow Quater, some E's follow Arven. Some follow Father and Quater, some follow Quater and Arven, some follow Father and Arven. Some E's follow all 3 together.
I wound up eating a pancake because I forgot to eat breakfast.
Some follow all 3 together, Father, Quater, and Arven. Most Dazites want nothing to do with a door to the other side. They would be very interested, though, if someone found a door to another world that they could conquer.
Why are they just saying random stuff?
Well, it's telling you the history of the...
Yeah, but it's talking about doors.
The Aberwabi is just in case we ever run into all these people, we should know about them, you know? It's important
But
to
I
know.
don't think anybody else is paying attention anymore.
I am.
Aberwabi is the notable high priest of the Ease. Kapangdaz, chief warrior of the Dazites, is plotting to assassinate him due to the Aberwabi's doctrine
I
of
do
peace.
know that we're probably seeing one of them. Intent.
Oh, yeah, because if he had a doctrine of peace, the Dazites want to have wars, so...
Yeah. Which threatens the Dazite warrior lifestyle.
I wonder if we're going to see Bill.
We're definitely going to see Bill. Inner Abernin, which is
Yeah,
said,
that's for sure.
which is said to house a door to the other side. All of the Aber cultures have a mythology regarding the door and a special name that identifies that mythology. Here are some of the more popular mythologies. Lipo Carruthers. The door is all around us. This is the mythology of the door amongst a small group of friends called the Ricks. They believe that the door is just a natural consequence of the evolution of all living things. They are fond of going out to the Ubundi forest and hugging the Ubundi trees. Ricks desire to become one with nature. Then they believe they will be able to
Free hugger. Free hugger.
They will be able to see the way to the door. Until you become one
I'm
with
getting
nature,
another
they
pancake.
say, you cannot hope to see as nature sees. And according to the Ricks, nature sees all. Winthrop Ballyhoo. We have already gone through the door. This is one of the many mythologies found amongst groups within the Ease. This group within the Ease calls itself the Marfees. They believe wholeheartedly that
There's more?
is a door, but they also believe that they all have passed through the door in one instant sometime
You said
in
that
the
was
past.
the last screen.
No, I meant we're on the last chapter of these chronicles, of the Neverhood Chronicles.
Or is it almost done?
I have no idea. The Marfees say that since we are all on the other side of the door, there is no need to look for it. Shempo Carl Rizian, each of us has a door within himself or herself. This is also a mythology from a group within the Ease, called the Shempo Calrissianites. It is said that Shempo Calrissian found the door but did not go through it. Instead, he found the door to a fine dust. He ground the door to a fine dust, then put the dust into the drinking water of Meso Abernin. Since that day, the first time an Aber takes a drink of water, they are said to have a door to the other side within them. The Shempo Calrissianates hold a water drinking right for their babies. The Ermbeck. We can find the door only when we have tallied up enough good deeds. Strangely enough, this is not another mythology from amongst the Ease. Instead, it comes from the Frankites. Those of the Frankites that believe this myth are pseudo-scientific and perpetuate the myth started hundreds of years ago by Japerth. Japerth was insane, but he was able to string together sentences full of scientific and theological sounding ideas. Those who did not know better and did not want to take the time to research Japerth claims would say, "Hear, hear," when he came to their street corner to speak. Japerth, although enrolled in the Frankite schools, attended class only occasionally. He spent most of his time digging for imaginary buried treasure or counterfeiting money. With the latter, he would pay classmates to do his homework for him. He was on what was to be the last of his treasure hunts that Japerth said he found the scroll of Ermbeck. Japerth said that the scroll of Ermbeck explained that if one does enough good deeds, one will be given a pair of X-ray glasses with which the door can be found. Jaberth said that good followers of Ermbeck who have disappeared are the only proof one needs to believe the authenticity of the scrolls, which, by the way, no one has ever seen. The fact that they disappeared, Jaberth writes, shows that they got their glasses and went straight to the door. No one has yet been found who can name a missing follower of Ermbeck. Prokoshmoko. Life stinks and then you fall through the door. Maybe. This mythology has a small support amongst all three castes of Aber. And then there's Clarksmund. A very good being made the door long ago and only told one good Aber how to find it. Before he found it, though, he told one other good Aber, and thus the knowledge of the door has been passed down through the generations. It is said that somehow knowledge of the door's existence became public. Now anyone can find the door if one goes about it the right way. To do so, one must attach oneself to a good and righteous person to get taken through the door when the righteous person goes through. This mythology also has a small support amongst all three castes of Aber. They are called Clarksmen by other Abers. The key here, it is believed, is to staple yourself to a righteous Aber. Ow, that's gonna hurt. To a righteous Aber so that when he does find the door and go through, you will go with him. This myth states that an Aber named Clabbers, who lives next door to Tugaberg, thought Tugaberg knew how to find the door. Tugaberg was a very nice guy, but Clabbers thought he was the nicest guy there ever was. Clabbers figured that if anybody had a chance of finding the door, it would be Tugaberg. So Clabbers got a very powerful stapler and with it attached himself to Tugaberg. It is said that when Tugaberg found the door and went through, Clabbers went through too. Therefore, Abers who believed this
Can I
myth
please ride on your back forward, Sammy?
are always
What?
looking for someone who is
What?
considered righteous.
Please. I'm going to poof up your hair.
Alright.
Is it done?
You're interrupting my reading.
Is the Chronicles almost done?
Not if you keep interrupting it. You're interrupting my reading.
Like, will we see the picture when we exit this?
Not if you keep interrupting my reading. I'm reading about Abers and Tugabers and Gabbers. And...
Okay, keep on reading.
And all the
about
types
these.
of E's.
Alright, therefore Abers who believe this myth are always looking for someone who is considered righteous,
All the religions.
Oh!
to whom they can staple themselves. If a Clarksman
Stand up
is
on all
seen
fours
trying
and
to
then go
staple
forward.
himself to another Aber by other
Samantha.
Clarksmans,
Stand up on
they
all fours
also
and then
will
go
try
forward.
to attach themselves. Usually friends will help get Clarksman off the nice Aber, but if an Aber is tackled by several Clarksmen, the Dazite police are summoned to remove them.
Police.
Now here's another one. Burntui. Wow, they have a lot of different beliefs about this door. Arven made the door and immediately declared that none shall pass through it upon penalty of death. He only told anyone about it to taunt them with its inaccessibility. Here's another belief. Flimperty. The door was brought to Inner Abernin.
Stand up on all
Oh,
fours
look.
and then go.
Look, we're at the end.
Yeah!
And it's
what
a-
does he look like?
There's
That's-
something on the floor that the arrow points to.
But let's finish reading first. By
He looks
Merlopax,
weird.
the kleptomaniac. There are many legends of Merlopax.
Aren't kleptomaniacs people that like grab anything?
Stand
Like,
on
sort
all
of steal
fours.
stuff?
Stand on all fours, Sam.
Yeah,
If they're like,
it's someone that wants
It's
to steal
another
things.
disc!
and normally gets, well, it doesn't really get away with it, but has like sticky fingers. So it could just steal anything.
Yep. There are many legends about Merlopax. He is a folk hero among the lazy Abers who do not want to be involved in any of the casts. In this tale, Merlo-Pax left Mezzo-Abernin and stole the door to the other side and brought it back to Mezzo-Abernin only to lose it to Merlo-Pax, the con man, Apollo Pinsmar. The door is a gift from Father. There is nothing anyone can do to find the gift of the door. Father himself must show it to you, and then you must decide if you are going to go through the door. Imagoro Davida. Imagoro Davida, baby. Don't you know that I love you?
Is that a song?
Imagora Davida, baby.
What?
Don't you know that I want you? Oh, won't you come and take my hand? One
Go
finds
forward.
the door during the heat of battle,
Go forward.
dying a victorious death. This is the favorite door mythology among the Dazites.
Of course.
That's height. That's height or.
All right.
That's height.
Giant robot.
Sword.
Giant robot. Okay. The doorway is all that is real, and all of Abernin is but a dream. Okay? Tingly Spald. The doorway was built by a giant turtle.
That's awesome!
I'm part of that one. It was definitely built by a child.
Okay. Roy All.
Giant turtle. I agree. Giant turtle.
Only 3,667 Avers are allowed through the door.
Okay.
That's a random number.
And that's the end of the Neverhood Chronicles
Woo! Now
Hall of Records.
except for, look, it's a disc.
And there's a picture of Arven. See how skinny he is? Because he's the fastest one.